Welcome. Hold on. There we go. Welcome to the Happy Wife School Show. Great to be here today. Thank you for your patience as I was wrapping up, getting ready for our topic today, which is, does your wife make you feel like you are going crazy? And here's why. That's what we're going to talk about today. I got a great question from a viewer that is going to give us a great lead into talking about what I like to call crazy making. And that's where we're going to go today. But before we get started, if you can let me know in the chat, you can hear me and see me. Everything's coming through okay. And I'll check that in a moment. But if you haven't already, please check out the Happy Wife School on Spotify and please give it a rating to help the algorithm get it out to more people. Also, I posted a new type of video this week on Thursday called RBA, which stands for Really Bad Advice. This is a new type of video that I'm going to be doing more of moving forward, where I critique the experts in marriage and relationships and the really bad advice that they give to couples, men, women, and helping point out the flaws in the advice that's out there that's RBA, really bad advice. So I just posted that on Thursday, and the first one is RBA. It's really bad advice for good men to go to marriage counseling. So if you haven't already, please go check out that video. And as always, if you haven't done so, please check out my colleague's YouTube channel, The Autoimmune Expert, and check out her work. That if you or someone you know is struggling with an autoimmune disease or a chronic illness, and you are frustrated with Western medicine or alternative medicine practitioners and the symptom management of diets, medication, supplements, mind-body interventions, then you want to check out Josie, the autoimmune expert, to learn how to permanently heal your autoimmune disease or chronic illness by working on your emotional state. So you can find the links in the description below to schedule a free consultation with her, to check out her free Autoimmune 101 course, and to also go to her YouTube channel, again, called The Autoimmune Expert. And I've got this one hair here that's, I can just see it's driving me nuts, but it might just do its thing. So we're just going to have to go with it. I'm going to leave it alone. So one more thing, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so you don't miss the important information that I get out to help you in your marriage. And please like this video so it helps the YouTube algorithm get it out to more people. And with that being said, I'm going to check the chat and then we are going to get into it in this awesome question. Thank you, Phil, loud and clear. And as always, a big thank you to Phil and Steve for holding down the fort in the chat. So please be respectful, keep on topic in the chat, and make their job easy or they will give you the boot. And Phil will send me questions at the end of the show in comments. So I'll pick a couple of those. If you have a question for me, please put question in all caps and Phil will capture that and send that to me. Jojo, I love it. Karen, leave it alone. He's talking about this hair sticking out. There we go. I think I got it. He said, leave it alone, says the bald man. Thanks for the laugh. I appreciate that. Patriot Defender, great to have you here. We got Colleen. Let's see. Kenny, nice to have you. Lots of regular names. Troy Dunn, great to have you here. Monica, good to have you. So for everyone here, thanks for being here. If it's your first time here, making it to Alive, great to have you. And let's get into it. So I'm going to put the chat down and I'll take a look again at the end of the show. But let's look at the question that someone sent me. And it's a great question. So I've heard you use the term crazy making many times in your videos and podcasts. And I think I know what this means since I've experienced it. But as with so many of these woman ways, I'm not sure I fully understand the various things that fall into this category. I'd love for you to put together a video on crazy making and the different ways one's wife does it. So thank you so much for this question. Because, thank you for the question, because it is very common, very, very common that I hear from men that they feel like they are going crazy in their marriages, and they doubt their sanity. They doubt their perception of reality, that they're sensing the behaviors and experiences with their wife that I talk about here on the channel, but their wives make them feel crazy for their perception of the relationship and the problems. And so good men really do feel like they are going crazy in their marriage, and like they have lost their natural compass of reality. Excuse me. And that's why men often thank me for my content. Sorry, guys, give me just a second. Hopefully that'll take care of things a little bit. Whew. All right. So that's why men often... So sorry. Give me just a moment. I will be right back. I've got something in my throat. I'm so sorry. I'm having a coffee fit. I had to tell my audience just a moment. All right. Oh, my mic didn't mute. Sorry if you guys heard some chatter in the office. Whew, we're going to try this again. I got something caught in my throat or something and had a bit of a coughing fit. So thanks for your patience. And the show must go on. So I'm actually just going to, for my benefit, so I get back into the flow, I'm going to reread the question, and then we're going to continue talking about crazy making. So thanks for your patience. And I'm human. So here we go. So the question I got was, I've heard you use the term crazy making many times in your videos and podcasts, and I think I know what this means since I've experienced it. But as with so many of these woman ways, I'm not sure I fully understand the various things that fall into this category. I'd love for you to put together a video on crazy making in the different ways one's wife does it. So it's very common that I hear from men who reach out to me that they feel like they are going crazy in their marriage, that they've lost their sanity, that their perception on the problems and issues in the marriage are wrong based on their wives' interpretation, and then our gaslighting of our husbands to make you doubt your reality. And I call that crazy making. And it's also why you hear from men very grateful for the content that I produce and put out, because it's what helps validate you that you're not crazy. And one of the most common comments that I see is, I feel like you have video cameras in my house, that you are watching me and my wife, our problems intimately, and like you've been spying on us. And so this is an angle of talking about this to understand the crazy making that you feel. For the good men listening, the crazy making that you feel in your marriage is real. And it is an intense gaslighting experience. A simple way to think of crazy making is that it is an intense gaslighting experience. As a good man, you have your own sense of reality that's very grounded in your pragmatic life experiences. And in that pragmatic understanding of life, of being able to see things for what they are and your reality. What your wife has the power to do and what good men are vulnerable to is the crazy making, which is what we do as women to twist our husband's reality and their perception of the marriage, their perception of the issues happening, or their perception of changes that need to be made or things that need to be done in the relationship. We twist that reality and make our husbands believe what you know to be true and reasonable is wrong and has also somehow wronged us. So what's really important with crazy making of understanding when it happens and why we do crazy making as women is that it is a defense mechanism. Crazy making is a defense mechanism that we use as women when we feel threatened or challenged. So for the women listening and wanting to see the truth of our issues and challenges and toxic behaviors we bring into our marriages with good men, crazy making being one of them, this is a red pill moment to understand your behaviors in crazy making and to recognize what happens when you feel threatened or challenged by your husband. That's when we pull out the weapon of crazy making. And the most common time that it happens, or most common times that it happens, is either in our perceived inability to trust our husbands and their behavior, or when our husbands are challenging their trust of us and our own behavior. That's when crazy making most happens. And we are going to get into a list of 7 examples of our crazy making as women in just a little bit. But I want to define it a little bit further and how a good man experiences the crazy making, and also for women to listen to understand this behavior in ourselves, that it's when we have the self-awareness and can see these behaviors that we can actually change. I teach my students in my courses that self-awareness, a deep self-awareness and ownership and taking 100% responsibility for the behavior is 90% of the solution, because when we have the self-awareness of our different woman ways, like crazy making, then we can catch ourselves, and it actually gives us a choice to show up differently and change our behaviors. If we live in camp victim, blaming others for how we show up or others for our emotional problems and instability and the different toxic behaviors that come out of that in a marriage or relationship with a good man, if we're in camp victim, blaming our past, blaming our upbringing, blaming being a woman, blaming our husbands for why we act that way, we will never be able to see the behaviors and have self-awareness of them in a true way that allows us to change. We will always put the responsibility outside of us. So when we take responsibility that this is me, this is my behavior, and understanding the behavior and being able to really, in a curious, grounded way, witness the behavior in ourselves, then we can actually stop it. And here in a little bit, I'll give you an example of how I stopped crazy making just last night in my marriage, because I could feel it and see it rising up inside of me. And I made the choice, no, we're not going there. That's not how we handle this situation. And that's what it really means to get red pilled as a woman, so you can catch these behaviors, have the self-awareness, and change. And for good men, it's the red pilling to understand this is what's happening in your marriage, so you don't feel like you're going crazy. So a really good way to understand crazy making is that it is a psychological tornado that we use as women to bend our husbands to our will. Crazy making is a psychological tornado that we use as women and wives to bend our husbands to our will. And what happens for good men and their vulnerability to this psychological tornado is that the crazy making will suck a good man into that tornado, and he gets cognitively disoriented and discombobulated, feeling utterly confused to what just happened. So, for example, a good man points out in a constructive way, because that's what good men do. They bring an issue up in the marriage, and their intention is never to be hurtful toward their wives. Their intention is to bring the problem up so that it can be solved. And what we do as women is distort. Say our husbands come to us and they bring up, when I get home from work, you tend to be very sped up and want to go into the problems of your day right when I walk through the door, and I don't have a second to decompress and settle in from being at work. And I wanted to know if you would be willing to work on that and work on being calm and giving me some time to decompress when I walk through the door before you start going through your day and the different problems or drama that's happened, so that I've got that time and then I can be present. A good man's, using that as an example, a good man's doing that to solve the issue. But as women, we feel threatened and made wrong and feel attacked. So that's when we start to spin up the psychological tornado. And what happens in that is that we attack you. We attack our husbands as good men with a barrage of twisted perspectives that cause you to doubt your own sanity and prevents you from being able to process what's happening quickly enough, which is then why you are left discombobulated and feeling utterly confused about what just happened. So using that example, you just brought up, hey, could you give me a little time when I get home and work on being kind of emotionally calm and grounded when I get home? That's all. But we feel threatened in that. And so we twist your reality of what's reasonable, what's a reasonable request. We twist that reality and make you believe what you know to be true and reasonable is somehow not true and unreasonable and has wronged us. So because we feel wronged, then that's where we attack you with the barrage of twisted perspectives, which are like a machine gun. They're just like one after another. That then leaves our husbands feeling stunned, feeling shamed, wrong and bad for who they are. And then the intense experience of the gaslighting is doubting their own sense of reality and perception. Because we're so convincing, and that barrage of twisted perspectives, we're so convincing in how we twist the facts, how we twist the reality, and we state them as absolute truths. But in actuality, it's a false argument, and false arguments with no basis in reality. And that's what crazy making is. So what we want to do now is we're going to get into 7 examples of your wife's crazy making. So I picked 7 common experiences or issues or challenges in a marriage that really exemplify our crazy making in a marriage as women. So for the good men listening, this is the ability to see the crazy making that happens in your relationship. So you know when it's happening, what it feels like in you, which counterintuitively lets you know that your perception and your approach of the issue or challenge is correct. That when you feel the intense discombobulation and confusion from your wife's crazy making, then you can know, oh, I am spot on, which can help you not get sucked into it. So again, crazy making is a defense mechanism that we use as women when we feel threatened or challenged. And a really good way to think of it is crazy making is a psychological tornado that we use as women to bend our husbands to our will. And what happens for a good man is he gets sucked in to that tornado and becomes cognitively disoriented and discombobulated, and then utterly confused after the interaction with his wife and the barrage of twisted facts and perspectives she threw at him because she felt threatened or challenged. It's another way of not taking accountability and twisting the facts to put the problem and blame onto our husband, so we do not have to look at ourselves. And it is an intense form of gaslighting. And crazy making happens in a marriage when, as women, we feel we can't trust our husbands because of the distorted reality we've created of them, or our husbands challenge their trust of us and our own behavior as women in the marriage is when crazy making happens. So let's talk about 7 examples of your wife's crazy making. Number 1, when you question your wife's fidelity. Number 1, when you question your wife's fidelity. So as a good man, you're seeing signs of inappropriate actions and behaviors from your wife with other men, which could be as simple as a friendship with a male coworker, or chatting with a male friend online, or spending time with a male friend outside of your marriage. And your husband starts to notice these things and other signs that cheating or an affair could be happening or on the verge of happening, and he confronts his wife about it. So in the crazy making, she will twist her husband's logical perspective of seeing her potential infidelity that then makes him question his own reality. That when she's done with the crazy making, her husband will be totally confused, discombobulated, and questioning his reality and suspicions that his wife could be cheating or about to cheat. And then he is in that state of confusion after that intense experience of gaslighting, of crazy making. Number 2, second example of crazy making from your wife. Number 2, when you spend money on something that she disagrees with, or God forbid, you challenge her on what she is spending money on. And in her crazy making, she will twist your logic of why you felt it reasonable to spend money on something and make you feel wrong for doing it. Or if you're confronting her on money she's spending, twisting your logic of why you feel it's unreasonable what she's spending money on, and again, make you feel wrong for bringing anything up. And this causes you, if it's in the framework of you spent money on something that she's upset about, and she does the crazy making, the effect of that for a good man is then he feels he has to ask her permission on what he spends his own money on. And this is a very, very common issue. I see this a lot with my course for men, where he really wants to do the course, has the means to do so. And he said, I got to make sure it's okay with my wife, or I got to find a way to do it to where she won't find out about it, because he's scared to face her wrath on it because of the crazy making that happens and how he feels he needs his wife's permission to spend his own hard-earned money and as the leader of the home. Number 3, the third example of your wife's crazy making. Number 3, when you do something in your parenting of the children that she perceives as dangerous or irresponsible. So, for example, maybe you punish your son so that he will learn a lesson, and she feels that it was too aggressive or harsh of a punishment. And in her crazy making, she will convince you by spewing a barrage of twisted and distorted facts and perceived reality that has no basis in reality. She will convince you of what a horrible father you are. A fourth example of crazy making from your wife, number 4, when you drink. So she will, in her crazy making, make you feel that she is unsafe and threatened by your drinking, when you feel you are being responsible as a grown-up adult, knowing how much you should drink or not. And in her crazy making, she will make you feel irresponsible and perceive that you are not in control of your behavior. Number 5, a fifth example of crazy making by your wife. Number 5, when she intentionally provokes you in an argument so that you lose your cool and get angry. So in her crazy making, when she has provoked you and pushed all the buttons she knows to push you to get you worked up, get you to yell or act in ways that are completely outside your character, in her crazy making, she will stand there looking completely emotionless and incredulous of your emotional anger and pointing the finger at you, and then will use her own provocation of you as ammo against you to make you look out of control. And she might even just, stand there with her arms crossed of, I'm fine. I'm perfectly calm. I'm not the one getting angry or upset. Look at you. Look at how you're reacting. And in that crazy making, convince you that you are out of control. And oftentimes, she's using the provocation to make you angry and act out of character to create you into a narcissist, and uses your reactions to her in that crazy making of provoking you to make you believe that you are a narcissist. And a reminder to the men watching, if your wife is trying to convince you that you are a narcissist, the number one way you can know that you're not is that you actually consider it. Maybe I am a narcissist. Well, I did get really angry, or I called her a name, or I just looked like I was trying to control her. If you're questioning, and maybe I am a narcissist, and maybe going to a therapist or taking psychological testing to find out if you are, that is your number one sign that you are not a narcissist. That if you entertain the thought and are curious and willing to look into it, you are not a narcissist, because a narcissist would never consider that they are a narcissist and actually go through testing or psychological or therapeutic interventions to find out if they are ever. The sixth example of crazy making from your wife, number 6, with sex, she tries to convince you that your need and interest in sex with her is inappropriate and something that you should outgrow. So in her crazy making, she will make you feel like a Neanderthal and an animal that can't control himself. That there's something wrong with you, that you need sex or want sex with her, and make you question if regular sex with your wife is part of a marriage as you continue to grow older together and go through years of the relationship, that we can somehow convince a good man that you can have a healthy relationship and not have regular sex or have no sex at all. And a good man will question that with the crazy making being done. And number 7, the 7th example of crazy making in your marriage is when you, quote unquote, lie to her by just withholding information because you are protecting yourself from her wrath if you divulge the information to her. And she will tell you, I can't trust you. And in the crazy making, she will take a minor withholding of information and turn it and twist it into that you are a compulsive liar and that you can never be trusted again in spite of all your behaviors and character and integrity that show how trustworthy you are as a good man. And she can't see through her crazy making of how she treats you and her wrath that you feel you need to protect yourself from that and withhold information that would cause her to feel threatened and challenged and attack you with the crazy making. And those are 7 examples of crazy making in a marriage. Of course, please, in the comment, in the chat, tell me the examples of crazy making that you've experienced from your wife, and also the brave women who watch and join. If you could give examples of when you know you've done some crazy making in your marriage. So I had my husband brought something up about a trip this summer and what he would like to do, and it was different than what I originally thought of what it would look like. And so I felt challenged internally, and I could feel the tornado spinning up in me. But this is the cool part of what I was conveying earlier, that when, as women, we have the self-awareness of our different woman ways, like crazy making, we can catch it when it starts to happen, and not act out on it. And that's what happened for me last night. I could feel it. I even kind of internally laughed at myself, like, whoa, easy, Karen, easy. And like, this is not the way to go about this, and could stop myself. And so I had an example or experience of this last night. But the gift for the women listening, when you know about these behaviors and have the self-awareness, is you can catch yourself. And what happens when you have the self-awareness and you catch yourself, it makes you feel really good about who you are, because it's not about being perfect. It's not about never stumbling or not having these woman ways, because they're just part of our wiring. It's the understanding ourselves as women and understanding the woman ways that we have, that we can actually catch them and make different choices. And then that's how we change our behaviors. So in talking a little bit more, I kind of got into it without saying it, but talking a little bit more about the solution for women with crazy making is, number 1, you have to take the red pill to see that you do crazy making in your marriage when you feel threatened or challenged by your husband, and either questioning your trust of him and his behaviors, or your husband questioning you and his trust of you in your behaviors, that's when the claws come out and the crazy making happens. So you have to be aware of that tornado, the emotional and psychological tornado you can spin up that you're using to bend your husband to your will and get him confused and thrown off so that you can avoid accountability, avoid changing or having to look at yourself, or take responsibility for your own actions and behaviors that create certain reactions or responses in the relationship from your husband. Because ultimately, our crazy making comes from being a victim. Our crazy making comes from being a victim. That when we feel something has been done to us that has wronged us in some way, then we spin up the crazy making. So it's our own behaviors and actions in the marriage that are causing our distorted reality of our husbands and the reality of the marriage that we live in, that then causes the crazy making. Crazy making is like an intense symptom and effect of being very firmly planted and rooted in camp victim. So the solution to our crazy making is moving from camp victim to camp take responsibility, so that we can live in the reality to see our husbands as good men and that they are flawed just as we are and will make mistakes. And we can also see their reasonableness and their pragmatism and their practical ways, pragmatism, there we go, in their practical ways, that we don't need to twist reality and facts and create that tornado of crazy making when we live in camp take responsibility. We just start to outgrow it. And from camp take responsibility and taking responsibility for our own actions and behaviors can stop ourselves from the crazy making and make the choice to approach issues or challenges in the marriage with our husband from a practical place, that is a skill set we can build, but we can only build it from camp take responsibility. And that's what I teach women in my happiness course, is a roadmap of how to go from camp victim to camp take responsibility. So please be sure to check out my Happiness 101 course. The link is below in the description, and also my happiness program for women. And if you are interested, then you can apply for a free consultation with me. And the solution for men, how do you break out of the psychological manipulation of the crazy making that causes you to doubt your own reality and experience and reorient to the truth? So one of the key things for good men is you have to catch when you feel in your relationship, so you're having an exchange with your wife, the crazy making is happening, you're feeling the psychological tornado and feeling yourself being sucked into the middle of it. What happens is the disorientation and feeling discombobulated, and then an utter confusion. So what you want to do is to catch when you are having an interaction with your wife and you begin to feel disoriented and very confused about what has happened or what is happening, then that is your sign that the crazy making is happening, so that you don't entertain the twisted facts that your wife is spitting out at you, that barrage of twisted facts. When you feel that confusion and discombobulation, that you catch that to know they're doing the crazy making, trying to make me doubt my perception. And you can build the muscle to catch that so that you know, she's trying to twist my reality and how I'm perceiving what's happening, so that you can stay grounded in yourself. That's one of the key things that I teach good men. When you feel confused, then the manipulation, the gaslighting, the emasculation is happening, and then you can learn to stand your ground in a respectful, responsible way. The second is that you have to realize that the only time that you have this experience of crazy making is with your wife. That if you can go to work and operate through your day, being grounded, clear, rational in your thoughts and choices, that you're able to operate efficiently, have accurate memory, and have collaborative and cooperative interactions with your colleagues, that's the truth of who you are. And that it's only when you come home to your wife that the crazy making happens that makes you doubt your reality and perception of the marriage, of your wife, of the issues and challenges that you are having. And then you can begin to see through the crazy making and build the muscle to not get sucked into it. And then you won't feel crazy anymore. And you can trust your perception of reality. You can trust your practical nature as a good man, that you're very wise and sensitive to what's happening in your marriage and sensitive to your wife's behaviors. And so your perception is correct. And when you know that your perception is correct, then you can stay grounded in it and not get sucked into the crazy making. And the best way to know that your perception is correct is when the crazy making is happening, that you can know, oh, I'm correct. So if in any one of the examples that I gave, then if the crazy making's happening, then your perception and your reality and logic in it is correct, and your wife's is not. And so good men can also check out in the description below the link to my men's course, where I teach men to rebuild their strength and confidence as good men, and to have a roadmap to constructively navigate the issues and woman ways with your wife, and to also gain clarity on the reality, the likely reality and outcome of your marriage, so that you can take responsibility for your choice to stay or your choice to leave based on where your wife is on that spectrum of her woman ways. So you can check out the link in the description below to the course and apply for a free consultation. And don't forget to subscribe. If you haven't already, please like this video so it helps get it out to more people. And please share this video if you know anyone that it can help. So I'm going to head over to the chat, and Phil's going to send me some questions, and then we will, yeah. Oh, good. Sorry, I saw a question right off the bat, so I know Phil will send that to me. So I will look at that there. And then, thank you, Rhode Island Street Preaching, for your contribution. I highly appreciate your work. You give me hope on marriage and reality, and that you're not a liar, which is amazing. I trust your words, even though I don't know you personally. Keep it up, Karen. Thank you so much. What a kind comment, and I appreciate your generosity. And then head over here. Questions are sent. Thank you so much, Phil. So I'm going to head over to my email and answer some questions from Phil. Thank you guys so much for joining me today and for your patience at the beginning. Glad that did not continue. Thank you for that reminder. No live show next week. I should have said that in the very beginning. No live show next week. Adam and I will be away. So I will be back the following Saturday, which puts us into March. I think the 7th. So I look forward to seeing you guys in March. But great comment. You are dangerous to women. You're giving out all their secrets. Yes, I am exposing all of our secrets as women. That's very, very true. Major Sam. Wow, Karen, you just said word for word what my ex-wife would say to me and our children. Oh, bless you and your children, calling us compulsive liars. Thanks for the video. You're welcome. That's a good example of when I get that comment from men. Do you have cameras set up in my house? Because these are the issues that are common in a marriage, and universal. I work with people all over the world, and these issues are universal. And Patriot Defender, Chris, thank you so much. I would just leave the room during the crazy making took place, and it would only piss her off more. Should we bring it up later to her, and will it make any difference? So really, really good question. So different ways that I can take this. So thanks for your patience as I think where I want to start with this. So of course, you want to build the strength and confidence to bring up the issues at a time where it's calmer and you're both in relatively good space. And the purpose of bringing it up and trying to have a constructive conversation about it is to get to a solution. So it might be for a good man sitting down with his wife. The other day, when I brought up this, you reacted and started pulling up things from the past, because that's part of what happens in the crazy making. We'll pull things from the past or totally unrelated incidences or circumstances and mush them together to make it sound like a logical argument and then fire it out your way. And you might say, and you start bringing up the past and other issues that weren't part of the conversation that I was trying to have. Would you be willing to work on that and maybe catch that in yourself? And if not, so ahead of time when that starts to happen, that's not healthy for me. It's not healthy for you. It's not healthy for our marriage. And I'm going to leave the room so that ahead of time that I'm removing myself from the environment because it doesn't feel safe. And you could say that. And what's going to happen and what you can reasonably expect from a woman is she's going to get really upset about that, feel wronged, and go into crazy making. And you have that conversation enough times to see, is she going to be open to changing? Do I have a wife? Am I married to a woman who's open to changing or not? And if you bring the conversation up enough times and she continues to attack you for it, then you can know she has no intentions of changing. So then, of course, you set the boundary. When this happens, I'm leaving the room, and be okay that she's pissed off. That's why you get a bigger doghouse, because she's the unreasonable one, not you. And then over time, she might say, hey, if you have an open-minded wife who's willing to change, she might say, you're right. I can see that in myself. And I will work on it. And she'll still go into it. But you want to look through, and you might stop to have a conversation many times. But what you want to look for is signs of progress, signs that she's trying to work on it, even if she stumbles, and watch for her follow through or lack of follow through. And then you will know the reality of your wife. So bringing it up later, having a conversation, is to try to come to a resolution, but almost more importantly, to see the reality of your wife. That if your wife is willing to change and work on things, you hit the jackpot. And if she's not, you didn't marry the wrong woman, you married a woman. And then you can know she's not willing to change, so that you take your energy and put that into yourself and doing the things you need to do to rebuild yourself and be okay in you. And stop throwing your energy into the empty bucket with holes of who's never going to change and is going to continue to be who she is. And then you can accept your choice to either stay in the relationship or leave, so that you're not a victim. And if you're choosing to stay, then it's accepting this is who she is, and how do I need to navigate for myself so that I stay sane and grounded in who I am and don't give my power away to her in these behaviors. So I hope that's helpful, Chris. Thank you so much for the question. You always have very thoughtful questions, and I very much appreciate that. Oh, thank you very much, Phil. That's very, very, very generous. Here's something for you and Adam to use for your week off experience. thank you for what you do for this community. I really appreciate that, and we will absolutely use that toward our trip this upcoming week, and appreciate that very, very, very much. And we'll also pass that on to Adam. So thank you, Phil. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It looks like somebody had Liam Oliver. Nice to have you. Thank you. Had a question about crazy making from managers at work who twist your words. Yeah, it can absolutely happen in other relationships as well. But this is a true statement that as women and wives, we have the ability to really suck you into it and get you really lost and confused in it. So while it can definitely happen in other relationships, I would say probably the marriage relationship and with your wife is the hardest experience of it, because you're so in it, and it's day in, day out, and you can easily get sucked into it. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to wrap up. I need to go pack and run a few errands. And I think that's a wrap for today. But thank you all so much for joining and having such a lively chat and good camaraderie with each other. Thank you for the questions and good comments, which I will read through more after the show. And I hope you guys have a great couple weeks and a nice rest of your weekend. And I'll see you guys in March, like I said. So be safe and see you soon. All right.